Hello, welcome for this next lecture on refrigeration and air conditioning. Till today we have discussed the reverse Carnot cycle, Bell-Coleman cycle. So in these two cycles, Bell-Coleman cycle is a modification of reverse Carnot cycle. So in both the cycles we are using air as a refrigerant. So if when we have different kind of refrigerant, suppose we have to use any gas or suppose we have to use any different substance as a working fluid. So in this type or these cycles are called it as a simple vapor compression cycle, or also called it as a vapor compression cycle, VCC. So what is the vapor compression cycle? So if we are using the another substance instead of air as a working substance, that cycle is called it as a vapor compression refrigeration cycle. So here the vapor compression refrigeration system is an improved type of the refrigeration system. Improved means the lower temperatures can be achieved with the help of this vapor compression refrigeration system in which suitable refrigerant can be used. Suitable means suppose my requirement is to reduce the temperature up to minus 50 degrees Celsius. So with the help of air this is not possible, and the air change, phase change of the air is not also possible, or this is the difficult task. So when we have to use such a minus or such a lower temperatures, at that time we have to select different working substance, and that different working substance when you are using in a refrigeration system, and that refrigeration system is called it as a vapor compression refrigeration system. Now, what are the advantages of the vapor compression system over the Bell-Coleman cycle? So, if we are using the air as a working substance, there is very much difficult to transfer the phase change of that air. Means it is difficult to convert the air into the liquid form. So, the size of the system for the air is very big. So if you are using any different substance, or if you are using the refrigerant, so what happens? So you can easily convert the liquid refrigerant into vapor refrigerant, as well as vapor refrigerant into liquid refrigerant. So the vapor compression refrigeration system, due to the phase change process, it is the compact system. It will not be bulky system. It is a very compact system. Second advantage is less running cost. Means here separate air compressors are not required, and the size of the system is very low. So that's why the power input required for the VCC is very less. So that's why it's having the very less running cost. Also, it can be opted over the wide range of temperature. So there is a difficulty in the air that up to a certain plus temperatures we can use. Suppose we are having the 5 degrees Celsius temperature, at that time we can use the air as a working substance. But if our requirement is minus 50 minus 20 degrees Celsius, so at that time we cannot use the air as a refrigerant. So at that time we can use the different substance or different refrigerant can be used. And also the COP of the system is quite high. Here the phase change process is there, means much more amount of heat can be rejected, much more amount heat can be absorbed. So in this process, as the running cost and the running power is less, so the COP of the system is very high. Now, as these are the few advantages of this vapor compression refrigeration system over the Bell-Coleman system. Also, it may having some limitations or disadvantages. So which are the limitations? First one is it is having the high initial cost. The initial cost of the system is very high, because here you can use air is a freely available substance. So for that purpose you don't have to pay for the refrigerant. But if you are selecting the different refrigerant other than air, so it may having the charge. Suppose you have taken the R22 refrigerant, it is having the cost of almost 500 to 600 kg per kg. Suppose you have selecting the 404, so that's having the cost of almost 1000 per kg. So for different substance and for the different refrigerant, we are having the additional cost. So due to which the initial cost of the setup of vapor compression system is high. Also, if we are using the highly cost vapor refrigerant, so suppose if a small leakage is there in the piping system of that system, if small leakage is there, so what happens, there is a leakage of refrigerant. So suppose if you are using the air, if air can be leaked, you can do the you cannot have to charge much more. But if you are selecting the refrigerant which are having the 1000 rupees per kg, and if that leakage of refrigerant will takes place, also it will charge much more amount for the refrigerant replacement. So therefore leakage of refrigerant is a major issue. Or sometimes when you are using some different refrigerants such as ammonia, so when this ammonia leakage is there, so at that time there is a odor is present inside the surrounding or inside the atmosphere. So for that purpose the leakage of refrigerant can be prevented in the vapor compression cycle. This is the limitation of the vapor compression cycle. So here I have drawn one vapor schematic of a vapor compression refrigeration cycle. 1 2 3 4 5 units are there. First we will start from the compressor, the left corner bottom side. Then again we are having the condenser, then we are having the liquid receiver, then we are having the expansion wall, or also you can call it as a refrigerant control wall, and again we are having the evaporator. So now the process, this vapor compression refrigerating system is also consist of same four components as we have discussed in the Bell-Coleman cycle: compressor, condenser, expansion, and evaporator. Evaporator also call it as a refrigerator. So here the compressor is provided, the condenser is there, expansion wall, and the evaporator or refrigerator space. Now through this system, when refrigerant is flowing, that refrigerant may be anything, but it is not air. So that refrigerant will goes into the compressor, similarly it goes to the condenser, again it goes to the receiver, then it goes to the expansion, and then it goes to the evaporator. So first we will start the explanation by this schematic and with the help of the pH and TS diagram. Hope you have understood the pH diagram. This is the saturation curve. If you look at the first figure, pH is the pressure versus enthalpy diagram. Here lower pressure is P1, which also called it as evaporator pressure. Upper pressure is P2, which is also called it as a condenser pressure. And there is a saturation curve. And the saturation curve, on the right hand side of the saturation curve, there is a vapor region or superheat region, and the left hand side of the saturation curve, which is called it as a liquid region. And in between this dome shape, there is a liquid plus vapor mixture is there. Means as you are going from left side to right hand side, the liquid gets vaporized. So this is what about the saturation curve. Now look at the schematic diagram. Suppose if the process is starting from point number 1 to point number 2. So when the vapor refrigerant, so you please read here, the suction line, the low pressure vapor, this low pressure vapor, when it goes to the compressor, the compression action is takes place, and due to that compressor, pressure is increases and also temperature is increases. So this high pressure, high temperature vapor refrigerant, it goes to the condenser. So in the condenser, phase change process is there, and due to this phase change process, the vapors are transmitted into the liquid. So this condensation process is a constant pressure process. So again the high pressure will remain as high pressure, but this high temperature will be fall down, and this high pressure high temperature vapor refrigerant becomes high pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant. Hope you have understood. In the first figure 1 to 2, the compression takes place. Due to compression, pressure is increases, temperature is increases, and the vapors are formed. So these vapors are when passes to the condenser. In the condenser, constant pressure heat rejection process is there, or constant pressure cooling process is there. So pressure is constant and only phase change is there. So when phase change takes place, temperature is somehow reduced. So at the outlet of the compressor, high pressure, low temperature liquid refrigerant is there. So this high pressure, low temperature liquid refrigerant is passed to the receiver. Now what is the receiver? Receiver is an storage to store the refrigerant. Receiver is an storage which can store the liquid refrigerant coming out from the condenser. Then this high pressure, low temperature liquid refrigerant is passes to the expansion valve, or also it is called it as a refrigerant control valve. Now when it passes to the refrigerant control valve or expansion valve, so what happens? The pressure and temperature both are drastically reduced. So this high pressure becomes low pressure, and this low temperature becomes very low temperature. And during this expansion process, the phase change is not completely done, but here the some part of the refrigerant is converted into the vapor. So at the point number 4, you will observe low pressure liquid plus vapor mixture. At point number 4, you will observe liquid plus vapor mixture. So this liquid low pressure, low temperature liquid plus vapor mixture is passes to the evaporator or the refrigerated space. Now in the refrigerated space, some already heat is there. Suppose you have kept food products, so that food products is having the some amount of heat. So when this low pressure, low temperature liquid plus vapor mixture is passes through the circulated pipes inside the refrigerator. So when they are passes through the circulated pipes, what happens? They will absorb the heat. This refrigerant will absorb the heat from that cold food products. So when the absorption takes place, the food product temperature is fall down. And when this heat addition process, so due to the addition of the heat, whatever the liquid is present inside the refrigerant, that also gets evaporated. So again, at the outlet of the refrigerator, there is the low pressure, low temperature vapor refrigerant, low pressure, low temperature vapor refrigerant, and then again this low pressure, low temperature vapor refrigerant is again passes to the compressor, condenser, and so on. So this is the actual working of the vapor compression refrigeration system. So if the input or the suction line of the or the suction pipe of this compressor, it is also called it as a suction line, and the discharge tube of the compressor is also called it as a discharge line. Also the compressor and condenser part is also called it as a high pressure system, expansion, and the evaporator is called it as a low pressure system. High pressure system and low pressure system, because in the compressor and condenser the pressure is high, and in the expansion and the refrigerator the pressure is comparatively low. So similar process if you are drawn on the pH diagram and TS diagram, you will observe here the point number 1 is starting from the saturation curve. So that saturation curve is showing the vapor, saturated vapor, because that curve is the saturated curve. So these saturated vapors are passes to the compressor. So in the compressor, compression action is takes place, and due to the compression, pressure is increases and temperature is increases. So the pressure is increases from P1 to P2, and the temperature is also increases from T1 to T2. This process is an isentropic process because isentropic compression is done. So entropy S1 is equal to S2 on the right hand side diagram. Now when it goes to the point number 2, so if you observe the point number 2, that is in the superheated region. So when it again comes to the condenser, in the condenser what happens? Constant pressure heat rejection process or constant pressure cooling process. Means at point number 2, whatever the vapors are there, these vapors are converted into the liquid. So 2 to 3 is a constant pressure, P2 is equal to P3, and when the P2 is equal to P3, the heat rejection process is there. So heat is rejected when the vapors are there at point number 2, it will become the saturated liquid. It becomes the saturated liquid. So if you observe the point number 3, it is on the saturation curve on the left hand side where the liquid is there, saturated liquid. Then it is stored into the receiver that we have not shown on the pH and TS diagram. Now from point number 3, again it goes to the expansion device. Now when the expansion takes place, the pressure is reduces and temperature is also reduces. So if you look at the pH diagram, the pressure is reduces from 3 to 4, P2, P3 to P4. The vertical line is there because that process is isentropic expansion process, or in that case the isentropic expansion is cannot be done, the entropy somehow increases. So when this 3 to 4 line is there, so at that time you will observe the at point number 4, as we have discussed in the schematic, at point number 4, low pressure, low temperature, liquid plus vapor mixture is there. So how we can say that? So if you observe the point number 4, it is neither on the saturated liquid line nor on the saturated vapor line. It is in between that. So in between that dome shape, some amount of liquid is there and some amount of vapor is there. So that's why we have to say that at point number 4, the low pressure, low temperature, liquid plus vapor is there. And then again this point number 4, it goes to the evaporator or refrigerator. So in the refrigerator, what happens? The phase change process is there. So in the refrigerator, what happens? Phase change process, or it is also called as a constant pressure heat addition process. Constant pressure heat addition process. So in that constant pressure heat addition, due to absorption of the heat from the food products which are kept already inside the refrigerator, so due to the absorption of heat, the liquid particles of the refrigerant, it gets vaporized. Liquid particle, by absorption of heat, it gets vaporized. And again from point number 4 to point number 1, you will observe the only saturated vapors are present inside the point number 1. So make sure that when you are passing this refrigerant to the system, you just make sure that the only vapor should be passes to the compressor, because the compressor which are you using, that is a vapor compressor. So small droplet of the liquid cannot be tolerated in the compressor. So always make sure that the only vapors are passes to the compressor. So in some systems we will provide there the accumulator. So accumulator, what we can do it? So accumulator will accumulate the vapors and liquid. Liquid, due to the high density, it is collected at the bottom side, and only it allows the vapors to pass to the compressor. So this is the schematic of the vapor compression refrigerating system. The 4 processes are the same, but the process 3 to 4 is also process is called it as the isoenthalpic process, throttling process or isoenthalpic process. The isentropic expansion cannot be carried out here because entropy increases somehow. But if you look at the pH diagram, the H3 is equal to H4, means enthalpy, vertical line is there, enthalpy at point 3 is equal to enthalpy at point number 4. So this process is called it as a isoenthalpic process. So in this way we have discussed the vapor compression system and the schematic of pH and TS diagram. So in the next lecture we will discuss the how the formulas can be drawn for the pH and TS diagram. Okay.